So that's a very interesting question there. I have this belief that I can't do it all, but with the collaboration of all my stakeholders, including the media, including our abled consumers and the other stakeholders in the field, we can do exploits. I believe in a lot of teamwork. I believe in a lot of collaboration with the other stakeholders. But what I can say is that proactiveness is something that you should expect from me.
Proactiveness?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And follow-ups of complaints, and as well feedback on what we've done to our complainants, because that's the bottom line, to motivate somebody to do what you are expected to do. Yes, I know it's a very tough area, but one thing I also know is that thankfully I have a very vibrant regional minister. I have a very vibrant KMA boss, and so far I've spoken to the regional minister, very receptive and very, very willing to support us. And I've also dealt with a lot of other stakeholders, and it's all about collaboration. And so far, as well as my stakeholders, I think I've noticed one thing, that if you engage, if you educate, most of them will comply naturally. I think there's this lacuna or gap between what we do. People should really understand what the FDA is all about, and to appreciate that we are not supposed to put fear in anybody. We are not here to destroy anybody's business. We are here to encourage, to support, and make people comply. But of course, if you don't comply, the regulation and the Public Health Act gives us that power to go beyond what I've mentioned. But I know, and so far with the engagement that I've had with most of the stakeholders, they are excited. And the fact that my doors are open for anybody who wants to do business to submit what is required, and have a dedicated place where they can easily reach out to us and have officers who are willing to support and to provide.
Our WhatsApp number is 0540-448747. If you have any question for Mr. Nkrumah here, you can send it in. If there's anything you want him to focus attention on to do, he's a new regional boss for the FDA. Now, I'd wanted to ask you about your experience with the FDA. How long have you been with the FDA? What positions have you handled? That gives you the temerity to say that, well, you're here to really perform. But you talked about education and other things that would help your job. One other thing I didn't hear you talk about well enough was enforcement. Because here in Kumasi, you can do all the education, you can do all the sensitization. If you don't crack the whip, you will not succeed. Because in this region, what often happens is that even when you want to crack the whip, you will see people in big cloth who come and tell you they are from A, B, C, and D, and that so and so and so is their so and so and so, and therefore let their person who has done the wrong go. So that is my question. But give us a bit of information about yourself. How long have you been with the FDA and stuff like that?
Thank you very much. So I've worked with the FDA officially, if I say officially, when I was really employed for the last 20 years. I did my service in 2003, so if I had that, I've been around that whole place for almost 22 years. What have I done? I've been with what we call the registration unit, where I worked for 17 years, and that should tell you that institutional memory and making the system work plays a role in as to why they'll keep you for that long in a particular place. And in the registration unit, most of the guidelines that you see on our website, most of the work that has been done to make FDA, I'm not saying I did it all, but played a key role, is to even attain what you call maturity level 3 on that score. So I was moved to a place called Vaccines and Biological Products Department, I think 3.5 years ago, after the COVID pandemic. And that's when I first had the interview with Joy FM. And again, in that field, I really, really did what I could do, moved the FDA to what we call a regional center of excellence for vaccine oversight on the continent, not Ghana. I've played a lot of roles in training of most of the staff who are there now, and it's been an exciting journey.
One would say that your CV is rich, and you're coming with a lot of experience.
Exactly.
That thing attached on us to people enforcing the law, cracking the whip, and people coming to plead on behalf of people who have done wrong. I would ask again later. But you're coming in at a time where Christmas is around the corner, and like I mentioned, we're some 23 days from Christmas Day. Now, at this point in time, people are bringing in a lot of goods. Things that we'll be eating, things that we'll be drinking, things that we'll be applying on our skins and all that. How prepared are you and your office to ensure that what we will be consuming, what we'll be ingesting, what we'll be applying meets the right standards?
So it's basically about enforcement. And the reason I mention education is that and the issue that probably we'll discuss into details about people coming to beg and stuff. I think I've seen that just within this last month is people are willing to do what's right, but sometimes the delays in the system, the bureaucracies doesn't help and augur well for that. So we've tried to cut off the bureaucratic processes in the region. Well, on what you asked, I think again is enforcement. We will go out. That's, trust me, we'll do that. And thankfully, like I said, the KMA boss has even made my work a bit easier, where he's trying to take people off the pavement.
He's all around town,
exactly,
decongesting and ensuring that people are doing the right things. And one other thing that is a concern, as you mentioned, the KMA, is that yes, as an assembly they have a role to play, but you'll also agree with me that as FDA you also have to support. Yeah. Now, when you go to town, people are selling vegetables on the bare ground, tomatoes, garden eggs, plantain, cassava. They're selling them on the bare ground. The assembly's bylaws, it's supposed to be on an elevated platform on the table, but they're selling on the ground. I mean, you go to places where people are vending food vendors, wache, rice, gobe, and all that. They're selling close to gutters that are choked with filth. The smell emanating from the gutters themselves are so bad. These are things that we are faced with. What's your plan?
So, well, most of the things that you've mentioned doesn't really fall under the FDA's purview. It falls more of the assembly. So we would normally come in when it's packed. So, like I say, the drinks that you see, most of these vendors who are selling on the streets and stuff. So you notice that we've had a lot of, again, I still believe that education plays a very key role. Yes, as for the enforcement, it's not negotiable. And you notice that over the period, FDA has been, in fact, for some few months now, we are really cracking the whip, finding companies left, right, and center. Sometimes we'll cancel your registration so that you can't do business again. We may recall your product if we find out to be compliant. Now, on what you mentioned, we've decided that I met most of the manufacturers of this water and food and beverages, and the message is simple. If you manufacture in your facility under what we regulate, and then you think that you are not responsible for what happens when it leaves your facility, then you are wrong.
Explain that to me. What you're saying is this: I could be a manufacturer of a beverage.
Exactly.
Let's say a fizzy drink, for example. I have sold it to Leo, and Leo is selling it out there. Exactly. I should be concerned about what Leo does with my product.
Exactly.
Why?
Because the product cycle doesn't end with.
But I've sold it to him. What he does with it is for him to be responsible for.
Good. So the message was simple. Yes, you have given it out, but you gave it out to a wholesaler, to a distributor, and that wholesaler is representing you. So the education will not end with just the manufacturer. I've asked for the distribution list and the wholesaler that they sent to. I'm going to go there and regulate them because they need to be regulated. And you notice that most of the challenges we have is you go to these places, they have loaded some stuff in inner, and then out of their shops you have all these things in the sun.
I'm happy
on
you're
the floor.
And you and I know that displaying some of these items in the sun does not make it wholesome.
Exactly.
Because some of the containers can contrast, shrink, expand, and all those things happen to them. Now, from Mr. Baini to Mrs. Stella Ibe to Virgil, we see these, and to this fine gentleman you have with me in the studios with me, and to the lady to your left, we have raised these things over and over and over again. You know that Christmas is around the corner, we keep saying. Go to Edum right now. They're displaying these items on the sun. In the night, they will go move them to a storage. In the morning, they bring them back in the sun. The assurances from FDA bosses, and Kusiaga. What shows you can make a difference in this?
I don't have the magic
one,
but what I can do and tell you, and maybe when you open the phone line, so you can talk to most of these manufacturers and stuff, they'll tell you. You may see me to be smiling, but when I have to switch to act, I'm very swift. We will crack the whip. Trust me.
Is it not just talk like I've had such talks in the past, such assurances in the past, but Charlie, as a result,
okay, at least when we in the past.
Yeah.
Use this as my KPI.
Okay.
Good. So the issue is that so recently we had an information about, and like you said, people are trying to be smart. So they were selling most of these soft drinks, and some of them had expired.
Sure.
We quickly moved in. Unfortunately for us, because the person who did the report tried to do our work, when we got there, the person had left. So what we'll also encourage is that, yes, when you find something, report to us. We'll leave our numbers, and then we'll move. The other issue is that, like I said, we are trying to partner. We have this platform with other stakeholders where when anybody finds something, it's put on their platform, and then whichever agency is responsible moves in. I wish we had staff all over Kumasi and other parts of Ashanti Region. But unfortunately, we can't. That's why I want to rely on our consumers, people like you in the media. When you get information, I know you have a lot of information from most of your callers. As soon as it is, please let me know. I'll follow up.
Now, I'm happy on one thing you touched, that you wish that you had presence everywhere. And that was going to be later a question I was going to ask, because I want to know how well resourced you are in terms of personnel, in terms of vehicles, whether we have laboratories here that you'll be doing testing and all that. I'll ask that question later. But you also mentioned the expired products on the market. And unfortunately, Ghanaians, as we are, but sometimes when somebody says, I've reduced to clear, and something that will call, let's say, 5 cities, now they say, okay, I'm giving 3 to you at so and so price. People go in for them, not knowing the dangers that they are faced with. Last week, it was on Monday, where during the news at 6 from Joy, I heard that some of the traders out there, when some of the products are getting expired, they tamper the expiry dates. Exactly. I don't know exactly what chemical they use on the expiry date, but they tamper with it, and then somebody who goes to buy that doesn't really know. What advice will you give to us consumers as what to look out for, and what are you doing about people who are tampering with expiry dates on their products?
So thank you very much. So first of all, it's educating the consumers. The issue that if you used to buy something at 5 cities and now it's being sold for you at 1 city, obviously it should raise a red flag. It doesn't mean that it's bad, but there's this that people have to watch out. So if you want to buy anything, first look out for the expiry date. It should not be tampered with. If it's defaced, if it has a sticker covering it, take off the sticker and watch, because oftentimes it is either has expired or about to expire. That's the first thing.
What about products that does not have those kind of stickers on them, like these Kobe's and Momone? It doesn't have any sticker, but we know that they are now using formaldehyde and all these things to preserve them. Back in the days when you go to the market and you see Momone and Kobe, and once now
Hasselflies would be all over them.
But now they don't. But it's being sold on the open market anyway.
And again, out there are so many products that are not even in English.
Yeah, so
they are in Chinese, they are in Turkish, they are in whatever.
Okay, I'll come to that. So, for example, the Kobe mentioned, unfortunately, again, doesn't fall under the FDA.
Oh, but it is food.
Yeah, well, you see, food, we have a thin line between packaged food and certain types of food. So the regulation is such that it defines for us what type of food product we can regulate. So things like Kobe, but
it should be concerned, because it still ends at the table of a consumer.
So David, I'm not saying I'm not. I'm just saying that it doesn't really fall under us. But again, it's about the collaboration with the assembly and other related, so the environmental agencies and stuff. So it's the law is that it puts all of us in one basket, but it has clearly defined distinctive roles for each of us.
But you scratch each other's back.
Exactly, and that's why the platform helps, so that as soon as there's something somebody puts it on, this one, it looks like it is, let's say, the assembly, then you push it to the assembly. It starts collaboration, and it helps a lot. Now back to your question. So if you buy any product that's not in English, it's not a registered product.
It should not be on the market in the first place.
So that again brings me to this issue. So FDA launched something we call no registration, no importation.
No registration,
no importation.
No importation.
Exactly. So if you don't have the registration by the FDA, you don't have to import. But the challenge is that we have several, you and I know, several borders. So the issue is that sometimes they get into the country. And what we've done is that all the regions, as we speak now, have FDA in the origin. So sometimes you might find a product not in Kumasi, but let's say in another region. On the platform, you are alerted. So as the region prepares, you try and check if it's on your market before it even enters. And that has really reduced. So recently I had one from I called her my neighbor from the Bodon region, and she alerted me. And sometimes you get it from the other regions where you are alerted, and then you start preparing, because definitely once it gets to those regions, there's a high likelihood to get it to your region.
So what do you have to do with what do you do about the products that comes to specific demographics in the region? For example, when you go to the China market, for example, the one at Tahojo, most of the product that comes there is tailored for them. But sometimes we also use it. If you pick any of the products, there is zero English, none at all. It's does the FDA do you have control over those ones as well?
Exactly. So whether it is for specific people of a particular country or not, it's Ghana. The law is clear. You cannot sell products that are not with English included. So it can be in Chinese, it can be in whatever language, but English should be added.
So how come do they have their own market and every product there is in Chinese?
Frankly speaking, I'm happy you brought this to my attention. Take it from me, and the head of enforcement is here. I don't want to mention the time, but if I do, they'll be able to take it off.
Okay.
But I'll definitely do that.
You take action.
I'll move.
And here, one thing I like most about what we do here is I ask for timelines.
Exactly.
So you've heard it today. When will we see action?
So today is
The 3rd of December.
Today is 3rd.
Wednesday.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow we'll see some action. Okay.
I'll you see, that's why I'll you see.
No, the point is, even if you've mentioned that you want to do it tomorrow, if they step out there and they correct it,
Exactly.
it is good for us.
Exactly.
And then we'll ensure that it's a continuous thing, so that after a while they don't come back
Exactly.
to repeat the same wrong.
Exactly.
So even if it's a caution, a warning to them, they've heard you say it, somebody's going to arrest them, the right thing is going to be done anyway, and that's where my joy is.
Exactly.
One other concern that I have is the fact that we have neighboring countries. We've already talked about the porous borders. And there are people who come in with all kind of medication. They are not registered. They are not licensed. They are going to and fro our streets, selling all manner of magadaos and magidaos. They are selling medications.
Magagia.
What are you going to do about that? Because these are all the things that